Mayor Giuliani, it's Pat Kiernan. I'm with Sharon Deason-House here. I wonder if you could give us an update of the emergency operations right now, please.
The first thing I'd like to do is take this opportunity to tell everyone to remain calm and, to the extent that they can, to evacuate Lower Manhattan. Walk north. If you're in Lower Manhattan, walk north and get above Canal Street. Things will be a lot safer. We have as many police personnel and fire personnel as we can spare down there, and they'll help direct you out. But try to get out of Lower Manhattan.
Mayor Giuliani, we should stress, is there any immediate threat? This should be an orderly, calm evacuation at this point.
Right now, everyone should, other than Lower Manhattan, where people should evacuate, and the police and fire will help you, everybody else should remain calm. They should remain at work or in school. We don't want them all out there crowding things and making it difficult, because we're going to be moving people around to hospitals all over the city, and we need as much order as we possibly can get.
Mayor Giuliani, do you have any sense of the order of magnitude of injuries and deaths?
I do not, except to say that it's horrendous. I was down there and watched it and saw people jumping out of the World Trade Center. It's a horrible, horrible situation. I think right now what we have to focus on is saving as many of the people as we can save at this point.
We knew about dozens of triage teams ready in probably a dozen hospitals. And all the doctors and all the nurses and all the technicians were standing there waiting. And nobody came. And as you're hearing that information and realizing that these hospitals are not getting people, it was awful.
There was a succession of information that had come in: the crash at the Pentagon, airports closed, planes being diverted, bridges and tunnels being closed. There was just all this stuff happening, and it wasn't diverting our attention entirely from what was going on at the World Trade Center, but it suddenly meant that we were covering 10 stories at once.
American Airlines, speaking euphemistically at this point, saying it has lost 2 of its aircraft. United Airlines says its Flight 93 originated at Newark, was en route to San Francisco, and it is the plane that crashed near Pittsburgh. The Associated Press, speaking to an unnamed police official, says the number of Trade Center casualties unknown, but could be in the thousands. Now that the United Nations building has been evacuated, another precautionary measure in the city that they have taken.
I remember trying to describe the ash that was on the floor, and I didn't want to touch it. So I was looking around at something I could touch, and there was this piece of pound cake. I'll never forget why, how it was just sitting there. Somebody's lunch fell when they were running, and there was this piece of pound cake. And I remember picking it up and just walking to a car and brushing the ash along the car, and we were getting some sound bites from some witnesses, at which point a police officer came up to us while we were on the air and said, "There's a methane leak. Get out of here."
We are being told right now, for our own safety by the police department, that we do need to stop this transmission. Apparently there is some sort of a gas leak, and it apparently is heading in our direction. So at the advice of the NYPD, we're going to sign off from here. Reporting live from Battery Park City, I'm John Schumo. Back to the newsroom.
We had a photographer come into the studio, and it was the first person to come back who'd been there. And to see this guy who looked like he'd seen a ghost, but not a ghost, a thousand ghosts, the fear and the sadness in his face was overwhelming. And it was a photographer who'd lost his assistant. And he was absolutely wretched and heartbroken and terrified.
I arrived with my assistant after the first tower had collapsed. We were about like a block or two blocks away, photographing the emergency service people, and as we looked up, the second tower exploded. Huge flames started going, and everyone just started screaming, "Run, run!" And we were running with the firemen north up on the West Side Highway. It was like a tornado was coming. You just heard the noise, and I went under one fire truck with a fireman, and he went under another one, and it was just dark. You couldn't breathe. It was just black and black. You just couldn't breathe. And then the fireman kept telling me, "Just cool, be cool. We're gonna get out of this. We'll get out. We'll get out. Just stay with me." And then he helped drag me out. He's a hero. but we need, if Kevin Johnson, if you hear me, please call home or work. I couldn't, and if anyone in an emergency room sees this, I couldn't find my assistant. We couldn't find him. If you hear this, Kevin, please call work or home to tell us you're okay. If anyone in an emergency room, please. It's so important.
Make no mistake, the United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts. I've been in regular contact with the Vice President, Secretary of Defense, the National Security Team, and my cabinet. We have taken all appropriate security precautions to protect the American people. Our military at home and around the world is on high alert status, and we have taken the necessary security precautions to continue the functions of your government. We have been in touch with the leaders of Congress and with world leaders to assure them that we will do whatever is necessary to protect America and Americans. I ask the American people to join me in saying a thanks for all the folks who have been fighting hard to rescue our fellow citizens, and to join me in saying a prayer for the victims and their families. The resolve of our great nation is being tested, but make no mistake, we will show the world that we will pass this